I'd like to ask Vien Truong about some vulnerabilities in terms of climate impacts. We've been talking about the causes, there's also the impacts. And tell us about the communities that are most vulnerable to whether heat, severe weather, et cetera, because it's certainly hot. 2015 was the hottest year on record. It's going to get hotter. That's going to affect people that don't have air conditioning, et cetera.
That's right. And so we're going to see people's health impacted. We're going to see people who are vulnerable, seniors and young people, especially those with asthma or other sensitivities, be aggravated even further, especially if they're living in areas that are especially hot, like Fresno or Bakersfield, areas that are surrounded by pollution or by mountains that captures and keeps in the pollution. And I want to add this other thing to it. Not only are we individually more vulnerable, our entire communities are becoming more vulnerable. I recently had a chance to sit down with leaders from the Huma Nation, and they're in the Gulf Coast, for folks who are wondering, and their community, their land, is being submerged underwater at the rate of a football field every hour. Every hour, a football field of their land is going underwater. And so their entire community is vulnerable. And in 8 to 10 years, it's likely to be entirely underwater. And it's happening so quickly, they can't even build a seawall to protect it. And so they're going to have to redefine or relocate, and what's going to happen to their land, their culture, their history, their practices, and where are they going to go? And what's going to happen to the community that they move to? Right? We saw a lot of times when the only communities they can afford to move to are other communities already under stress. And so when you bring in a new community on top of that, if we don't facilitate that well and right, it actually can create more tensions for the lack of resources. And we have to begin figuring out how do we actually begin anticipating that in our solutions and our policies.